right, welcome back, everyone. So I'm here today with Eliza Versoza, who is a medical professional,
even though I don't look like it,
and a very active member of the Philippine tabletop and RPG community. So Eliza does a lot of stuff. She makes dice.
Yes, I do.
Right, among other things. And I just want to bring Eliza in to discuss a kind of more light, kind of a bit more of a lighthearted side of what we're dealing with now.
Let's try to make this pretty lighthearted.
You know, earlier in the program, we spoke to Kiddo and Andre, who both own significantly sized coffee businesses. And we discussed the impact of closures on business and on the service industry. But what I wanted to bring you in and discuss is kind of the impact on tabletop gaming. You know, for our other publication, which is Next Action Phase.
Yep.
And kind of our concern there is it safe? Is it reasonable to be playing tabletop games during a crisis like this?
It depends on what kind of games you're playing.
Okay.
Because under tabletop games, there are three. Let's just group them into three groups. There's the board games.
Yeah.
And there are the role-playing games, stuff like D&D, L5R, Fate, and there's like the wargaming. So out of those three,
and wargaming is like
Warhammer,
miniatures.
Like that. Yeah. So
X-Wing,
you guys really need to be in close proximity to each other
and
to play
touching
it.
the same things.
Yeah. Out of those three groups, two of those activities, I would advise that you guys don't do yet until we're out of the woods in terms of this quarantine / enhanced quarantine, which they just announced today. So currently we don't really have any solid guidelines on what this enhanced quarantine is all about, but it's safe to say that the general principle of meeting up in a physical space and touching the same things, like for example board games, cards, board game boxes, I would not encourage that right now unless you undergo like a 14 days self-quarantine, and then if you're not symptomatic, then it's very likely you don't have the virus.
Hypothetically, if you could get together a group of 4 people who are symptomatic.
Yeah. Well, when I say symptomatic, it's just you're showing signs of cough, colds, fever. But then the next step of knowing if you really have the virus is the diagnosis. So let's say we both are having a cough, right?
Yep.
So we're both symptomatic. But I could have the virus, the NCOV, and you could have just like an allergic reaction.
Or the regular flu.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say if everyone is symptomatic, get together, because even though you're a group of symptomatics, a few of you might already have the virus.
Yep.
And I read that the virus has an incubation period of 5 days.
Yep.
So people are probably saying, oh, I don't have coughs or colds or fevers, so I can go out and probably go hang out with friends, go to my family, because I'm not displaying any symptoms, right? But in those 5 days that you don't have a symptom, you could be carrying the virus on you or
and
on your body.
it.
Yeah. Or you could be incubating it. So I would advise that it's pretty logical to self-quarantine. But at the same time, I just really hope that it's implemented well.
Okay, so let's go to implementation. So let's say that you are you're an avid tabletop gamer, RPG player, or maybe not even an avid tabletop gamer, but want to get into it. But you're kind of in a situation now where you can't. Maybe you were hoping to join a group this week or next week, and it just isn't going to happen because we all have to stay home. So you're saying 2 of the 3 you can't play. I'm guessing that the one that you can play are the RPGs.
Games,
yes. Can you hold your mic up a bit?
Okay. For the role-playing games, context for myself, before this quarantine happened, I had like 3 scheduled games and 1 convention that was supposed to be held around like mid-April. So when we found out that it was like a pseudo lockdown, even though they don't want to call it a lockdown or a self-quarantine, like I was super conflicted because as a health professional, I know we have to do this.
Yep.
But as a gamer,
you love the game.
Like half of me wanted to go out and play, regardless of the advisories. So I'm still conflicted until today because apparently I'm healthy. I want to push my limit, but I know it's not wise to do so.
Yeah.
So right now, me and my friends are trying to organize like Discord games. But that is also dependent on your accessibility to equipment.
And strong internet.
Strong internet, which I do not have. So most likely I have to wait it out until this ends, which I don't know when it is.
So if you're going to do it on Discord, so Discord, for those who are not using Discord, is another form of social network platform. What makes Discord different from, let's say, Facebook or?
Actually, the most basic thing that you need is just being able to talk verbally. Because tabletop games just need the theater of the mind. Like everything else, like the board, a map, or the miniatures, are just supplements.
They're just
to help enhance the gameplay.
Enhance the experience.
A lot of the existing tabletop games, tabletop RPG games, sometimes you just need like voice connection. That's it. And then if you need to roll dice, then baseline, you could just
be honest.
You could be honest.
Yeah.
Find an honest group to play with you. Or if you want to step it up a bit, if everyone has super good internet, you guys can video call.
Is there maybe a Facebook group or something where people can get together?
Group.
Yeah, maybe people can. If you're not part of a group, you can find people to join a group with.
Give a link to the group.
Yep.
Right now, since we're under quarantine, community quarantine, there's a big influx of people joining the group, looking for games. So it's a good time to explore.
All right, so we'll you give me the link and we'll put the link in the description, probably on YouTube or on Facebook as well. The point of all of this, and for this live stream and for the podcast, we're calling it All Things Creative, and that's kind of the direction we've gone in now. Ajima being obviously creative, and then Daily Drink being an artistic movement as well. Business, I believe, is also creative, and it's kind of this philosophy that all things are creative, and RPGs being a very it's a very living storytelling medium.
It's a form of acting. It's a form of like theater, actually. Yeah.
And in a I guess in a way that's not so intimidating. So if people want to find community in this time, online is a good way to do it.
Yeah. The good thing about the next month or so is that everyone is online. People have nothing better to do than to be online and be on social media. So now's a good time.
Pros and cons.
Like I am work from home and I have no choice but to be at home like 80% of the time. So the pro is like I have a lot of unread RPG books and I am forcing myself to finish them all. So I guess that's a pro.
What's an RPG book?
It's a source book actually. So for example, you want to learn how to play D&D or The Witcher tabletop or an RPG, and Vampire the Masquerade, games like those. Usually a good start is by reading the source book. So it's basically all the basics of the game, how to make a character, how to play it, how to run it. So for you guys who want to read more books, more TRPG sources at this time, you can go to drivethroughrpg.com. It's an online store for PDFs of the source books.
So you don't have to go out. You don't have to wait for something to show up in your mail.
Yeah, you can just sometimes I just buy PDFs and then read them on my phone while I'm commuting. So it's very accessible that way.
And who's writing these books? Like they're publishers?
Yeah, there are publishers. We have Wizards of the Coast for D&D. We have White Wolf. We have a lot actually. We have, I don't remember a lot, but there are.
There are a lot. Yeah. All right. So I think that RPG and that form of tabletop gaming, especially for gamers like myself who like board games, who like stuff that you can touch.
Yeah.
This is going to be a refuge for a lot of us. And also an opportunity to try something out that you haven't done before. So if you find yourself bored at home, if you're playing games like Call of Duty or what else? Mobile Legends, and you find that the chatter inside the game is toxic, for lack of a better word, and people are talking crap, I would say that the tabletop community is a high concentration of high quality people.
I would say for the most part, yeah. I mean, no community is exempt from toxic people.
That's true. But everyone is there with a shared intention of having a good time.
It's a very cohesive community.
So if you do want to participate, we'll make sure that Next Action Phase on Instagram and Facebook does have those links within the coming days, so that as things simmer down and cool off and you start getting bored, you can start getting involved in these communities and maybe make some new friends despite the social distance. We are quite lucky that we exist in an era where this technology exists, where we can reach out over the distance and still spend time together. So thank you so much for talking on the topic, Eliza.
Thank you for letting me speak here today.
Any other additional words of wisdom as a medical professional?
Okay. If you guys are going to play board games, I suggest that in the most ideal setting, like to protect yourself, because you don't know if people in your household are incubating the virus.
That's right. So a lot of people are saying, what are we going to do for all this time? I'm going to play some board games with my family.
Yeah.
That may not be the best thing either.
My advice is, starting today, don't play board games just yet. Wait 14 days. And then if in those 14 days you guys do not display any symptoms related to NCOV, then that means you guys don't have it in the house. So if you guys don't have it in the house, feel free to play board games
among yourselves.
Yeah, but as an extra precaution, try to disinfect the pieces.
How would you go about doing that?
For the physical pieces that are plastic based, you can just disinfect them with alcohol. Some people, without the use of alcohol, can mix up like 10% bleach and 90% water. So that makes a Dakin solution, which is another disinfectant that we actually use for patients. And for the
you see that there's a run on alcohol, but there's no run on bleach.
Guys, and soap. Soap is the answer.
Yeah, there's so much soap in the supermarket.
I am so surprised that there's a shortage of toilet paper, but there's no shortage of soap. Guys, the answer is literally in front of you. It's soap. If there's something that you should hoard, and I am not condoning hoarding, it's supposed to be soap and water. That's it. For the plastic products, use soap and water, alcohol, bleach.
Paracetamol.
Paracetamol.
Have some in your house.
Yeah.
Because realistically, someone is going to get sick.
Yeah. But the thing about paracetamol is it's just a Band-Aid solution. So it'll mask your fever.
I see.
And the virus stays in your body. So when you have a fever, best to go to a health practitioner and get tested.
This is why we have you on the program.
Because as per the press con today, they are releasing 20,000 kits within the next 2 to 3 weeks. I know that's a lot of
That's a lot.
A lot of things can happen in like 2 to 3 weeks, but I'm just really looking forward to it. Because in South Korea, they're on a downward slope na because of the mass testing. So I hope that we get to that point where cases go down.
All right. So again, as much as possible, we will be trying to support you here at Honeycomb. But if you do not need to leave your home, please do not. Please stay home if you can. Stay safe. And we thank you, Eliza, for telling us about these games. And maybe if you do get bored or you do feel like you need that social interaction, here's a great way to do it. A great way to be involved in a story in a way that Netflix won't do for you.
Yeah, because like Netflix is... I could finish the season of Netflix in like 4 hours. And then we have to stay home in the next 30 days. Yeah, Netflix episodes are going to run out.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know about that. There's a ton of Netflix out there.
And yeah, there is.
I think the argument is that like to be involved in the story process, to be creative on your own and not just be consuming all the time.
Yeah.
At some point, you're gonna hit your limit of just consumption.
Because the nice thing about the RPGs is you're not like a passive consumer of the story. You also generate story. So that really like enhances your imagination. You are a producer of content also.
All right. Thank you again, Eliza.
Thank you, dude.
I've enjoyed speaking to you.
Yay.
All right. Do that? Just like, what's that? Forced perspective handshake. Forced perspective handshake.
Nice.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is All Things Creative from Honeycomb, Manila. Please stay safe, everyone. Stay home if you can. But if the need comes where you do need to go to work, please just send us a DM and we'll help you.
For everyone watching this is a reminder to wash your hands.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. It's something that we forget. And if anything, this has brought to our consciousness, things that we haven't been seeing. So you'll notice right now, as you walk down the street, you'll see people coughing and spitting on the ground, and like they may not have NCOV, but you're gonna notice it.
Yeah.
Because it's in front of mind, right? In the same way that if you had no intention to ever buy a car, but now all of a sudden, Toyota Vios is inexpensive and you think you can afford it, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing Toyota Vios everywhere.
Yeah.
They were always there, but because it's at the front of your mind, you'll start seeing it. That's a phenomenon called object blindness. Where
it only matters when there's a need and when everyone is working it.
Yeah. So, what a rat hole. All right. Thank you so much, Eliza. Thank you all for watching. Please stay safe. Be safe. And
wash your hands.
We wish you good health. All right. Bye.
Bye.